84% of the total startups that belongs to the IT sector. So majority of these people, a brute majority of the entrepreneurship, they are trying to invest in IT startups, mainly because of the fact that the initial investments are relatively very less, or in some cases that's nil. Only your skill does matter. If you are one person, even one person can start a startup. Theoretically, okay. Especially in the case of previously, we had the only option even for a legal entity for having a LLP. That was the smallest one. LLP means it's a limited liability partnership. That's a legal entity. That's a company. For that, at least minimum 2 people are needed. But recently, almost 4 to 5 years back, India government introduced OPC, one-person company. Even just a single person can start as a company, just like proprietorship. But unfortunately, proprietorship doesn't have the legal sanctity in many ways. You can, obviously, you can, open a GST account and bank account, current account, obviously. But unfortunately, it will be very difficult for you to operate pan-India or internationally. So by introducing the company concept called one-person company, that also has been resolved. Even a single person can start a company. So startups, obviously, especially in IT startups, because of the lower initial investment or the capital needed for IT infrastructure, somewhat it's less or very less or even nil. Because of that, IT startups become the favorites among the startup entrepreneurship. That's the main reason why we have decided to go with a particular session on IT startup. So before starting the session itself, I want to tell you that this is somewhat a compressed session. Usually this particular session itself, that will be a full-fledged session of 4 to 5 hours session, entire day. That's stretched for an entire day usually, so including the mentorship program. But since the time is limited, that's allotted to me, that's hardly 60 to 75 minutes. I tried my ever best to make it compressed so that it can be fitted into that time frame of 60 to 75 minutes. But at the same time, I tried my ever best to not to lose any content as such. So it will be much much condensed in nature. So let's start our session. So first we shall try to understand what are the type of IT companies generally exist there. So broadly, it's a very broad classification. Broadly, you can classify any of these IT companies into a product-based company or a service-based company. Okay, so product-based companies means the companies like Adobe or Siemens or Microsoft, Google, Facebook, IBM, Oracle. They have a product to sell. They have some sort of product to sell. Okay, they are not giving any service to anyone. Okay, so they have some product, and by giving payment in one way or another, they may be taking payment from the end user. Some cases like Microsoft is giving you the operating system mainly, and they will charge you for that. So you are purchasing a product from Microsoft. So that's a product-based service. On the other hand, when it comes to Google, they are not taking any money from you. Their products. So let's take an example of a Google product, YouTube. YouTube, obviously, I do agree that YouTube have a ad-free subscription thing is there. Even without that, also you can very well watch the YouTube. From where they are generating the revenue? Obviously, they are generating the revenue from the advertisers. So while you watch the YouTube videos in between or in the beginning or at the end, some advertisements will come, right? So from that kind of advertisers, Google makes revenue. So on the other hand, service-based companies, TCS, Wipro, Infosys, Accenture, Cognizant, even Microsoft also, they have the software as a service thing. For example, Microsoft Teams, Microsoft Office 360, all those things are basically, it's a service-based thing. So they are not giving any product. Instead, they are providing you the service. Okay, so that's a service-based software as a service. Okay, many ERP softwares on cloud. All those things are software as a service company, and that's a service-based thing. In the case of Adobe, that's a product-based. They'll give you the Photoshop. That's a product. You can purchase it. So broadly, you can classify into product-based as well as a service-based. Okay. So majority of the time, or usually the product-based companies, they won't have any recurring or repeated revenues. They may not be able to recover, because once they sell Microsoft Windows 10 or 11, that's an upfront payment. I know annual subscription or any such things. But on the other hand, when it comes to service-based companies, they generally charge you monthly or yearly or half-yearly or quarterly basis. So that's a recurring revenues from the customers, from the subscribers will be there. There are certain advantages as well as disadvantages for both these model, upfront payment for a product as well as the subscription based. Okay. Since that's beyond the scope of this discussion, we are not digging into that. Let's move forward. So let's have a quick look on what are the challenges for any startup. If you are an entrepreneur trying to start a small IT company, what are the possible challenges? Usually people comes to know about these challenges if and only if once they start. But as an entrepreneur, especially when you are seriously looking for the future of your company, you should first have a very clear idea about what are the main challenges you are going to face once you start a startup. The first challenge, obviously, that's money. I have seen a lot of budding entrepreneurs or startup people or people from technology business incubator. They come up with funds, obviously some initial funds. To say you are an entrepreneur and trying to start up a company, that's the online shopping platform like Amazon. You are starting your own platform. Nothing wrong in that, especially if you have some coding skills, or even without coding also you can start nowadays. Websites like Shopify is there. With that, you can start. The only thing is you have to design. No need of coding or any such things. Rest of the things you can do. Even you can integrate the payment gateway without coding. All those things are there. So, for example, like if you are trying to start a e-commerce website like Amazon also in a Shopify module. So initially, if you have 1 lakh rupees, with 1 lakh rupees, you may take the subscription and rest of the things, and remaining money you may spend for an office space in the registered office address. 1 lakh over. Now the question is, well, your entire money is over, entire funds that has been over, what funds have bought to the business, that's over. Where you can find funds for your advertisements or marketing. So by the time you establish a company, since many youngsters, many budding entrepreneurs, their planning is not that good. So they will make a very good business idea and a platform. Unfortunately, they may not be able to find funds to make a jump start. That makes the things worse. That's what challenge number 2 mentioned as neglecting the marketing and sales expenditure. Because once you do a good marketing and sales, obviously, once you do a very good marketing only, you can fetch the customers. Though you assume that your shopping website, your platform, everything is very good. a seamless experience you may offer. But unfortunately, without knowing about this particular platform, how customers can come over there and register, you have to give some advertisements, right? You have to do some rigorous marketing to the prospective customers. For that, you need funds. For that, you need money. From where you can find that once your funds have been depleted. And when it comes to sales also, you need fund for sales. You might think, what's the need of funds for sales? Obviously, for example, if you are deploying a couple of salesmen on field to sell your product, initially you have to give them at least the travel data, travel expenditure, reimbursement, everything you have to give. After visiting multiple times to the customer site only, the first sale may generate. But still, it will take time to get the collections from them. But till that time, you can't say, please hold on to your salespeople. They may leave you. Okay. So we need money for marketing as well as sales also. And challenge number 3 is obviously the lack of planning. I've seen many youngsters, they have started their ventures, they have started their startups very well. And after a few months, just because of the lack of planning, the entire thing bound off. Whether that's an IT startup or that's a hotel, whatever it is. Because they only have the plans to commence the operation. They don't have the plans to cruise the operations. That means they don't have the plan to run the operation. So if you, unless and until you have a very clear plan for running the operations, it will be very difficult for you to sustain that particular business. Okay. 4th one, that must be the first challenge. Finding the right people. Finding the right people. Who are the people involved? Who are the stakeholders? Finding the right people includes right from, if you are looking for a partnership firm, your partner, that's a foremost thing, and that's the most important person you have to look for. If he is a good partner, if he's an enthusiastic person, if he is trustworthy, if he is a self-motivated person, if he has some sort of analytical skills to manage the situation well enough. But on the other hand, if your partner is just a reverse of the things we have discussed, your life will be a mess, and most probably your venture will fall into debts within no time. Okay, so selection of the people not over there. Selection of people as an employer, that also does matter. If you pick up some people or compromise on people on their salary, sometimes the people that you have fetched for an employment, they may not give much results. If you have selected a salesperson who doesn't have any sort of motivation, he may roam somewhere around and he may not be able to pitch the product properly to the prospective customers. Not with the partner, not with your staff, it's not over. The right people includes your right customers. If your product is to say a school management software, and if your salesperson is going to pitch your product, present your product to a supermarket, do you think that will work out? Do you think a supermarket owner is the prospective customer of your product? No. A school principal or a school manager is the prospective customer for your product. So you should find the right people everywhere, right from the partner, right from the employees, right from the prospective clients. Okay. So if you fail to find the right people, your failure starts right there. And the 5th one is the time management. I have seen a lot of youngsters, they will do everything perfect business plan, perfectly launched. They will make a very good AC ambience in the office. They find best of the best talents. But unfortunately, they forget the fact that time is money and money is time. Okay, obviously, both the cases. They will be a bit lethargic to run the operations. Initial period, that's a jumpstart period. During that period, unless and until you push your product to the market, hardcore with full energy, if you are not pushing the product to the market, it will be very difficult for you to sustain the market. If you delay your product launch one day, sometimes that one day costs you a lot. A similar product on that particular day may take your revenues, your place in the market. For example, if you are trying to sell, if your product is a screwdriver like this, okay, screwdriver with a firm hand with a magnetic tip. Assume that you are the first person, first company introducing these kind of screwdrivers in India. But since you feel that, okay, anyway, this is the first company, no one is there to compete us, so it's well and good. We shall relax, we can take some time to relax. Since the company is now is on working, we need not bother. Next week onwards, we shall start our sales and business operation. By that time, maybe tomorrow, someone may be importing the product from China and they have started the market. What happened? On that particular day, since that's the first and novel product and the first product in India, they may pick up at least your 80% of market share. When a company comes first, obviously many of the time, that brand name become synonyms for that particular product, like Fevicol. People still, and some people, they used to say, do you have Fevicol? For any gum, they used to say it's Fevicol. Fevicol is a brand name. But Fevicol become the synonym for gum. Wood joining, gum, glues, all those things, synonyms. So similarly, remember this thing. Time, that does matter. You have to manage time, appropriate timing to launch your product. And as a young budding entrepreneur, you should compress yourself. You should compress your team. You should press your team to walk a mile more than expected. Okay. And the sixth challenge is how to scale up. What's the meaning of that? Assume that the very same product. Your product is a screwdriver, and you have launched the product and you find the market over there. Or since this one is I leave about the screwdriver, since this one is a IT startup session, we shall think that you are an entrepreneur and you have your product is school management software. Okay, school management software that will manage the academics part, that will manage the examination module, that will manage the school fee collection, that will manage the transportation systems, the school buses and everything. All those modules are there. And your sales team is selling that to the prospective schools. And fortunately, assume that you could be able to fetch 80% of the market share. Well enough. That means your market is somewhat saturated. No upscaling is possible. Scaling up is not possible because you have covered almost 80% of the schools. Your 80% of the schools are your client. There is no point of again trying for that 20% because market is saturated. That 20% may belongs to either in a perception that we don't want any school management software. We can do everything manually. Or some people may be the clients of some other companies. Some other companies, you still can hope that they will come to you. But if that 20% with some other company means they might have find some advantages with that company. So there is no point of pressing them again and again for them or waiting for them to come. Obviously, there's no sense. Then how you can scale it up, how you can move to the next level. Anyway, it's a fact that you have to try to maintain your customers, existing customers. Renewal should be there. Recurring collections you have to do. You have to provide some good service to them. Then only their customers will be sustainable with you. Customers will be there with you. Then how you can move to the next level? That's a question. One thing is, either you can spread or you can expand your operations globally, or not at least globally, at least to the neighboring countries like Sri Lanka, Nepal, or even schools. Many Indian schools are there in the Middle East with the very same syllabus. So you need not change much. So you can expand your operations to Middle East or Nepal or Sri Lanka. That's upscaling. Okay. In many cases, these scaling up operations are ignored, neglected by many companies. So what happens? Since you are least bothered or when you are satisfied with your present condition, you may think that, okay, 80% of the schools are with us. And the revenue seems to be very much decent in nature. Okay, we are generating almost 1 crore revenue per month. Ooh, good, well enough. But you will forget the fact that any day, any of the very good competitors can come and take your place with a very good pricing or with a better customer support. So you are always on threat. So in order to hedge this risk, you have to expand your operations, either in terms of geographically expansion or in terms of product portfolio expansion. What's meant by product portfolio expansion? That means you have the core know-how or you have the core server space for school management software. By doing some modification, you can give that to colleges also. That's also upscaling. In India itself, colleges in India itself. And doing some more modification, what you can do? You can give that to universities. By doing some more modification, maybe some modification to 30 to 45% modification, if you can do, you can give that to some factories, manufacturing firms. Instead of students, the employees will be there. So their bus, transportation facilities will be there. Instead of school fee, their wages may be there. Or obviously in school management software, their employee wages will be there. So you can take out the school fee module and you can maintain the wages or salaries only. And some of the inventory part also you can add. So your product portfolio has been increased. It has been diversified. So if someone comes to the school management space also and your market share has been reduced or shrunken from 80% to 20%, then also you need not worry, because your presence on college, your presence on manufacturing sector is there, your softwares are there. So revenue will not be impacted much. Okay. Though in one fine day, if Government of India or CBSE or ICSE decided that, okay, government is giving free school management software to all the affiliated schools, there ends up business. Okay. If someone, especially if government gives something for free, you can't expect that any schools will take a paid version. Okay. So at that point, you may feel that the things has came to an end. So diversify your business, scale up the business. Many times, many startups, they will be satisfied with their current sales and revenue. That's what the 7th one says about your comfort zone. Once you achieve a certain level of revenue, they think that's a comfort zone. they won't go out of their comfort zone. They won't think about the next level of expansion. They won't think about the product. They would. So you have to keep these things in your mind. And challenge number 8, okay, sorry for the numbering, that's one mistake is that instead of 8, it has been put as 9. 8th one is the competitors. Always competitors pose good competition, good challenges they will pose in terms of product quality, in terms of customer support, in terms of pricing. So you should be able to compete with them. How? There comes the first thing. It's all about cash. It's all about money. For example, if you find a fair price in the case of same school management software, it's a cloud-based, subscription-based software as a service product. Assume that you are giving a school management software to a school at the rate of, to say, rupees 10 per student. Okay, and 1,000 students are there. So 10,000 rupees per month you will get. And some other company came to the scenario and offered the school that, okay, you need not give 10 rupees, 5 rupees enough. What you can do? In order to, if you want to maintain that contract, you have to either give that for 5 rupees at least, or at least you have to come down to 6 rupees. In some cases, though your bid, your cost, existing customer, in the case of existing customers, though your price is a bit higher, that customer, if that customer is satisfied with your service, the customer may not take the risk to try a new company. So if though they are offering 5 rupee, you offer something near to 5 rupee at least, not just the double, the customer may be retained with you. That's the case. For that, what you need, sometimes your total cost per customer may be like 6 rupee. So in that case, you have to find money for operations, not from the profit. No profit, no loss here. So you need extra cash. Cash resource is needed to tackle your competitors. Many a times, this will be forgotten by many entrepreneurs, and the company comes to an end because of that. And the 9th one is the management quality. Management quality, what does it matter? What does it mean basically? Management includes you if you are an entrepreneurship, if you are the startup owner, includes you, your value system, the product quality you are giving, and your even your reimbursement policies, everything matters. And how you deal with your clients, how you deal with your employees, that all, everything matters. You have to keep a close look on your numbers. The revenue, the profit margins, the sales, the inward and outward cash flows, expenditure, extra. Management quality does matter. And how much you can foresee the challenges, how much you can foresee the risk, everything does matter. Do the management people have the competency to implement a better trade plan and better business plan for their clients? Whether they have the competency to scale up the things, everything does matter. So management quality does matter. And the last one is the lack of mentorship. Many are entrepreneurship or startup entrepreneurs, youngsters, they jump into the scenario just by reading some blogs or some YouTube videos. They just watch that and jump into the scenario. Fortunately or unfortunately, I have seen a lot of youngsters, they even doesn't know the tax regime involved in that particular business. They even do business, they even export everything. Unfortunately, many of them even comes to know about the GST and everything after quite a long time. But in the meantime, they did a lot of business and everything. So mentorship, at least mentorship to tackle, how to tackle the scenarios, how you can upscale, how you can, what to say, socio-legal complexities, how you can tackle all this. For that, you need a constant mentorship. If your mentor charges something, some nominal amount, never hesitate to give that, because eventually, rather than going into bad debts and end up your business, it will be always good to give some consultancy fees to a quality mentor. That makes a lot of difference. Now, try to save money on valuable things. You can save money in a lot of ways, like you need not go for a very posh office setup. Instead of that, you can start the operations from a small portion of your home itself. Nothing wrong in that. Who is coming to a software startup office? No one is there. If you want a posh address for you to exhibit, you can take some what to say, a shared facility. Nowadays, a lot of shared co-working space are available. Even some IT platforms, they are giving some virtual address of some reputed IT parks. You can make use of that just by giving 2,000 or 5,000 rupees per month. You will get a virtual address. So your physical address will be given as that particular virtual address. People can communicate to that. Even you may get some phone numbers. Telephone numbers will be handed over there, and someone will be there on the reception front to take the calls. All those services will be given by the kind of co-working virtual address space companies. Hardly give 5,000 rupees or 3,000 rupees. You can make use of that. And on prior appointment, if any of your clients come, you can take the meeting room or conference room there also, and you can meet there in luxury. You need not maintain a full-time office over there. This will be much. You can obviously you can maintain a full-time office later once you pick up the business, once you pick up the space. Nothing wrong in that. But till then, you can try for this kind of shared spaces or virtual addresses. Okay, so these are the main challenges that we can foresee. So before we move forward, let's have a quick look on the company life cycle and the parameters. So the x-axis shows the time in the terms of years of a company, and the y-axis shows the revenue or in terms of money. So at 0, 0, the company has been started. Initially, company has been started. The solid line you can find, that is the sales. So initially, the sales is very less. Slowly, it's picking up. It's almost like a dead zone. But on the other hand, you can find that dotted red line, that is profit. And that dashed line, that's a cash. So you can find that till during the launch phase, you can divide this into 5 phases of a company life cycle. Initial period is a launch phase. Second one is a growth phase. Third one is the shakeout phase. Fourth one is the maturity phase. And fifth one is the decline phase. So initially the launch phase you can find. That means the company has been just started. That time you may pick up some sales, but still you can find that neither the profit nor the cash in your hand is not satisfactory. It's negative. That means during this period, you didn't made any profit at all. Almost 70% of the startups, they stop during the launch time just because of the fact that right from the 0, 0 of startup day till the launch period ends, the profit is somewhat gradually, the loss are somewhat gradually increasing. That's a negative profit, means that loss. So during that period, many of the youngsters, many of the startup owners, they're dismayed, they may discouraged, and they eventually disappointed that this company is going to a big loss. So better we stop here. No, it's not like that. If you can wait for some more time, what you can see, you can find an exponential sales growth during that period. So what happened? An exponential profit growth also you can find, an exponential cash flow also, a positive cash flow, exponential. And during that growth phase that happens, and somewhat shaky phase, shakeout phase, somewhat stable, and maturity phase also somewhat stable. So during that period, a positive profit, a positive cash flow, and positive sales. After some time, what happens? A decline phase occurs. Why so? Mainly because of the fact that you are reluctant to scale up your business. You are reluctant to go for innovations. You are reluctant to fight any new ventures, new geographical areas for business operations, business expansion. So your product is over, revenues are over. This is what happened in the case of Nokia. Nokia was the mobile phone market leader. No one expected that Nokia phones will become obsolete. But what happened? They were reluctant to embrace the changes. They couldn't be able to think about embracing some sort of operating system other than Symbian. They declined the Android. What happened? Google came to that space. Samsung came to that space. And with Android phones, majority of the smartphone users now using Android. And eventually, just because of this Android, just because Nokia reluctant to embrace Android, they kicked out of the market. That's a decline phase. That company is over just because of that fact. This is the typical life cycle of a company. Let's move forward. This is the 5 cardinal rules you have to keep in your mind if you are an IT startup owner or IT entrepreneur. First one, make sure that the market needs your product. That type of product only you have to make. What I found is many people, because I have seen a lot of concept presentation of many youngsters, what I found is many budding entrepreneurs, what they are doing is they are trying to copy paste the ideas from the successful business owners. They became successful just because of the fact that their ideas were novel. Their ideas were new and innovative. Just because of that fact only, their business became successful. But you just imagine, if you also copy paste that thing, novelty is not there, nothing new in that. Maybe that product's decline phase might have started. We have discussed about the decline, right? Decline phase here. That product's decline phase might have started. That time only you are trying to enter the market with that particular product. So what happened? You are just joining with that decline phase of that product. So instead of that, what you have to do? You have to do thorough market research. And the outcome of that, from the outcome of that particular market research, you come up with some innovative product. Nowadays, creativity makes a lot of difference in market. Think a lot, brainstorm. If you have some partners with you, if you have some of your classmates are with you, any of these people, think together. You join some online discussions. You can join with some online discussion boards. Think about it, pros and cons, and finally formulate a product that will make a lot of difference on launching your product. And second thing, second cardinal rule is nothing but scale reasonably. I told you about scaling up your product, your business is inevitable, because Unless you scale your product, unless you upgrade your product, unless you find new avenues, new geographical locations, unless you diversify your portfolio, it will be difficult for a sustainable business. Okay, that's the main reason why bigger business houses, they always try to diversify their business. Tata's diversification, they have everywhere. Don't think about Tata or any such things, because Tata is the 100-year-old company. So they have diversified to everywhere. Reliance, they have diversified. Ambani's, they have diversified. Many companies like that, they have diversified from one to another. Okay. So in Google also, in the online space, they have diversified everything, even including the hardware, augmented reality, virtual reality, apart from the marketing platforms like Google. Google has everything in the online space. Okay, so diversify, scale. You have to scale up also. So during the scaling also, there is some problems. Make sure that your scaling plans are reasonable. I will tell you one classic example. This is not from IT space, that's in hardware space. Hardware means that's physical product. Okay. So one curry powder brand was there. What they did is that was a very exceptionally good quality curry powder. So they have given a lot of advertisements. It was very good. And their supply chain management also, that was very good. They supplied everywhere. Once someone tries that curry powder, everyone likes that. So their advertisements were ramping up, their revenues were ramping up. But unfortunately, what happened? Their manufacturing or production has not been ramped up. So eventually what happened? With the support of a very great advertisements, they scaled new markets. Unfortunately, their supply chain couldn't be able to dispatch the product as per the demand. Just imagine if you are a grocery shop owner, and if you are not getting a particular product, this particular curry powder, because of the scarcity, because the demand is small, manufacturing of that particular curry powder stands still. It's not increased. So the supply chain people couldn't be able to deliver. They couldn't be able to supply the product as per the demand. So many shops, that particular curry powder was not available. So just imagine in a local kirana shop, a local grocery shop, if one customer come and ask for that particular curry powder, okay, I need a ABC curry powder. Shopkeeper may tell, okay, now it's out of stock. Next week it will come, or 2 days after it will come. If after 2 days or next week, the same customer comes and asks, okay, please give ABC curry powder now. Now, second time also the kirana shop owner may say, okay, they couldn't be able to come, that delivery man didn't come, probably within a couple of days it will come. Third time, when customer come and ask, what is the kirana shop owner going to tell? He will tell that we got a lot of complaints about that curry powder. So I said no to that curry powder supplier, and no longer I am taking that curry powder. That curry powder has some adulterations. Why he said so? Because two things. One thing is, he should not feel that he couldn't source that particular product. His product diversification or product range is not less, is not small. Okay. Second thing is, he want to sell some other product because he lost hope that this particular curry powder supplier will supply that at near future also. But on the other hand, you don't want to lose this customer. Moreover, the customer, you want to change the customer from that particular brand to some other brand that's available with him. So he told, these kind of fishy reasons, majority of the customer, especially in the local kirana shop, man says so, they will believe. After that, what happens? Though the customer goes to some other shop and get or find that particular curry powder on shelf, he won't take it, he won't prefer it because he has a feeling that that curry powder has some adulteration. So eventually what happened to that curry powder? This is a real life story. Now that curry powder brand or curry powder company is no longer existing. That shut down because that's ill-proportioned marketing campaign, but couldn't be able to supply it. So that's the main reason why scale reasonably. Scaling is needed, but you should scale up the product in a reasonable way. You should think, you should analyze. Analyze means it's not just a scalar analysis. You should analyze critically. You should analyze in terms of numbers, else you are done. No longer it's possible you to campaign for that particular product. Okay. And third one is solid business plans are needed. Before commencement of the business, during the idea phase itself, you should be able to create solid business plan. Without a solid business plan, it will be very difficult for you to carry out with that particular business with some vague idea. At least you should be able to forecast or foresee what is going to happen for this particular company after 2 years. What are the possible challenges, possible threats that this company is going to face? What are the best things that you can hope for after 2 years? All those things you should be able to foresee. All those things you should be able to forecast. Else, if at least for a 2-year time span, you should be able to forecast. Else, you can't call that as a good business plan. Fourth one, that's the most important thing. That is build a strong team. You can't run a business for a quite a long time. Even scaling reasonably involves that. You have to scale up your team also. Initial period, for example, if you are launching an e-commerce website, initial period even you alone can manage. But you just imagine if your customer base has been increased to 1 lakh people or 1 million people, 1 million customers, and your vendors base has been increased to 10,000. How can you manage the customer queries? How can you manage the customer grievances? Customer may tell, okay, I have ordered this particular product 1 week back, I haven't received. Where is the product? You can't take multiple calls. What you have to do? You have to strengthen. You have to hire more people for customer service, or at least you have to outsource the customer service. Along with that, in order to scale up, don't think that you yourself can use your entire brain and everything for scaling up, for business operations, to plan your strategies, to plan your marketing, to deploy your entire resources on field and the cash flow monitoring, everything. No, you can't do that. You have to bring more people, sometimes at least a few experienced people on board, so that you can scale up your company in a reasonable way. It's not about ambitions. Youngsters are very much ambitious in nature, but make sure that that ambitious plan should be correlated with real plans, with reality. Okay. Unless and until you fail to correlate with the reality, most probably ambitious plans will remain as a fiction forever. And the final one, how to scale up. The money that with you may not be sufficient. How much money you have, whether you have 1 million, whether you have 1 billion, 1 trillion also. In business, scaling up is to infinity. Okay. So more money, obviously we need, especially as a startup, if you can find an angel investor. So angel investor will become your partner. Most probably majority of the angel investors, they will guide you. They will make some business policies because their job was basically to invest in a particular company and make that company bigger and exit. Invest some to say it's 10 crore rupees, make the company bigger, such a way that the valuation can become bigger. Once the valuation has become bigger, that 1 crore rupees may become, the market share of one share may become 100 crores, 100 times. By that time, they may go for to make the company public, list in the stock market. That time they will exit. But what's the advantage as a startup entrepreneur? What you are getting? You may be a novice, but when an angel investor, a funding agency finds that your idea is novel, they will support you in terms of money. Also, they will support you. Their entire team will support you in terms of to improve the operations. So eventually you are getting a free consultant, a free mentor in terms of, in the name of angel investor. So always you have to try an angel investor through some platforms. A lot of platforms are there nowadays. In that, you go and pitch your business idea and find an angel investor. These are the 5 cardinal rules. Follow these 5 rules religiously so that you can pick up your startup in a better way. Along with these 5 cardinal rules, a few guidelines also I can give. One thing is stay true. Okay, so along with these 5 cardinal rules that we have discussed earlier, along with these 5 cardinal rules, that means first one is make sure that the market needs your product. Second one is you have to scale up it reasonably. And third one is write a solid business plan. Fourth one is build a very strong team. Fifth one is find an angel investor. Okay. These are all the 5 cardinal rules. Along with that, a few guidelines also I wish to give if you are a young startup entrepreneur. First thing, stay true to the core purpose. Many a times I have seen that youngsters, they drift away from the core field.
Sir,
For example,
sir,
what exactly happens is many people, they feel that, some people, they may feel that, for example, like if someone start a company for school management software, okay, and they designed a school management software and their, let's say, business team or everyone, they went with pitching. But unfortunately, what happened, after pitching for quite a long time, maybe a couple of months itself, they couldn't be able to find some prospective clients. They couldn't close any deals. So after 6 to 7 months, what happens? They'll decide. The startup people will decide, okay, we are leaving that particular product. What we are going to do is, we are starting an online grocery shop, an abrupt shift from an educational support platform to an online grocery shop. There you have to board a number of vendors and you have to fetch a lot of people, a lot of customers online with aggressive freebies, just like Paytm did. Paytm were giving a lot of freebies, right? If you recharge for 100 rupee, you get 100 rupee cashback. So entirely different business model, entirely different business you have got into. Never do that, at least for the first 2 years. Try the very same business for the first 2 years. After that, you analyze, you re-engineer your plans, analyze, then only you decide. Within shorter span of time, never switch from one to another. It's very tricky. Second one is be very picky with new opportunities. You may find that there are many opportunities you may feel. For example, I have seen one entrepreneur, startup entrepreneur, the very same thing. He was with a school management software. His company created school management software, including all the modules. And almost 5 to 6 people were in every state. Okay, majority of them were MBA interns and fresh MBA graduates. What from ground reality they got is to the CEO of the startup is the salespeople told, sir, actually it's very difficult to sell this school management software. But when we went to the schools, what I found is a lot of book publishers are there. That means the school book publishers, and they could able to fetch orders worth 10 lakh or 15 lakh rupees. So why can't we start a publishing business? It's a fact that schools need books. So what this person did is he shut down his entire operations. He sold the entire cloud space, server space, everything, entire IT infrastructure. He dismantled and gone. And he had taken 10 to 15 publishers, dealerships. But he didn't do much research on that. For a software, most probably the margins will be, profit margins will be in the range of 70 to 75%. That means if you sell a product for 100 rupee, 75 rupee will be your profit. But on the other hand, when it comes to book publishing business books, the profit margin may be something like 10 to 12%. But his business plans or business model was not meant for a mere 12% profit margin. So he could, what's the learning from this one, this particular incident? He could be able to find an opportunity, but unfortunately that opportunity was not suitable for him. So after a couple of years, what happened? He realized that this won't work out. Especially in schools, if you give the books, most probably the collections are somewhat very difficult. Schools may take nearly 1 year to settle the bills. But to the publisher, you have to give the money upfront. So 1 year on that particular amount, interest and everything, you have to bear in mind. So assume that it's a 6 months time frame duration. In that, interest rate may be 3 to 3.5%. So if the total profit margin is just 10 to 12%, 3.5% already gone. Rest only the profit margins. So always think twice, thrice, analyze well before you pick up any new opportunities found. Scaling up is inevitable, but think twice or thrice before you pick up any new opportunities. Third one is invest in marketing strategies. How to market? Many a times I find that just a stereotype marketing is what many a young IT startup entrepreneurs do. Okay, they will just shell out to say 10 to 15 lakhs to Google and Facebook advertisements. Make an ad and just roll out. They are not thinking who are their prospective customers. Do you think a product like B2B business products, you can find better customers through online, this kind of discrete marketing? No, it's not. So always you have to discretionary invest in marketings. What type of marketing? I think that was all about the episode 1. Those who have missed that episode, I believe that has been hosted there in the IIBM channel. You can review that because right now I think we don't have time for review it. So you please refer that. Okay. Okay. Okay, someone raised their hand, I believe. Okay. Okay, please ask.
Yeah. Ankit this side, I think, one of the faculty in IIBM.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you, I think, in between.
Yeah, no issues.
By what time you will end up the class?
In the next 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Please take your time, I think, because usually what happened on Saturday, I have a doubt session from 8 o'clock. And every time your class gets wind up around 8:30.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No problem.
Yeah,
You carry on. I'll talk to Faizan. And
yeah, sure.
Yeah. Take your time, I think.
The next 10 minutes it will be over.
Yeah. Sure. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
So the next one is about the pricing part. Okay. So do rigorous research on the pricing. So one thing you have to keep it in mind is whether irrespective of whether that's in IT or non-IT, whatever it is, pricing is generally a dynamic factor. Okay. Every minute we change, just like the tickers in commodity market, just like the tickers in stock market or currency market, it changes. So you should be updated. So pricing should be flexible enough, and that should be able to change from time to time. And the fifth one is always you should focus on the offering solutions to your customers. Okay, not that you are offering some auxiliary product. You should be a solution provider to your customers, because always customers have the problems. If you can identify the correct solution for the customers will retain with you. That's what actually in the Cardinal Rule 1 we talked about. That means you have to select the right product. What customer need, that product you have to make, not just copying down. Because once you copy down, the problem is already the problem has been solved by someone else. So you always hunt for problems and find a solution for that. Present it in front of the customers. And sixth one is offer quality customer service. Without a proper customer service, many people, many companies, they have ended their operations. They forcefully ended their operations, either by legally or because of the decay in customer numbers. And seventh one is it's always better to find a startup accelerator. So startup accelerators generally, even government is also supporting it. So startup accelerators generally give the supporting service for the young entrepreneurs, including the legal service, accounting service, the tax discretionary services, and all these services and all the knowledge base or supporting knowledge base for the people, for the entrepreneurs they provide. Okay, so always try for the nearby startup accelerator, and if possible, incorporate your companies over there. Okay, and the final one is always try to find a very good mentor, so that the mentor, a personalized mentor, can make a lot of difference in your business plan, at least in the first couple of years. With his advices, you can pick up, including what is the right pricing, including what's the right mode of advertisements, what's the right mode of marketing, whether the product is still worthy or not, what are the surveys that we can conduct to improve the product or to upscale the product, whatever it is. So always try to find a very good mentor, and if possible, make that in a contract itself for the next 2 years. While selecting the mentor, make sure that that's of non-discretionary, non-competitive in nature. Okay. In some cases, that kind of issues may also arise. Okay. So this is all for now, and